everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Joe and Dina.
What's up?
So we are going to talk about like long game versus the short game. What does it take to take an idea or a business or whatever that you're trying to create from like the short game to like the long game? Meaning like you really get the success you want. You really create what you intended to create, whether it takes 1 month or 6 months. What does it take to like get to the long game?
I'm just like, where do we get these topics from? Like long game and short game. I feel like it's like about talking about my golf game because my long game is pretty damn good. My short game is it's not that good. That's probably why I don't shoot as probably as good as I probably
everything should. Is a sports analogy for you anyway, so this is just perfect.
Yeah. But I do like kind of like, what was written down. Like we kind of have some notes about this particular topic here for this week. And it's about just being able to be consistent with your actions, right?
Yeah.
And not giving up, having the stamina to keep pushing forward. Because, what's that old saying? Rome was not built in a day. I can't tell you how many people that, I come across, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in any business, where they start something and they expect like the next day, the next week, like the cash is just going to be flowing in. Yeah. And no, you have to have, obviously kind of a plan, going back to your short game, long game terminology. There's got to be a plan for the short game. But you got to know that really if you're going to achieve greatness, if you're going to achieve some really awesome things with your business or whatever it may be, it's going to take a little bit of time, right? So, you have to be able to kind of build up. In fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday about a new venture that we're going to be kind of putting together for them. And we just were very, very open about the fact that, hey, listen, it's going to take 3 to 4 months to really kind of see some momentum get built here. And then you're going to start to see the rewards, right? So that's going to be your greatest return.
And what's interesting is that we always talk about like in customer service or whatnot, like setting the expectations. So, and like not over promising and under delivering. So like you even have to set that with yourself. So if you're going in about like this long game achievement that you want to have, like you should set the expectations with yourself that you're in this for the long haul. Like just don't like set yourself up for failure. Like have that roadmap and that plan. And as long as you keep moving the needle every day, you'll get there. It's better to like do little strides every day because with little strides, you'll still get to your goal. But if you're having these, and I think of like, and I'm going to show my age, but the game like Chutes and Ladders where you can like climb that ladder and you're like, yay, I'm here. And then all of a sudden the next thing you know, wrong move. And you go down that slide all the way back to square one. In order to like avoid those ups and downs so great, those really high peaks and then valleys, is just stay consistent. Because consistency is always going to win when it comes to your goals and anything you're trying to create in life, it's consistency. So every day making little strides to where you want to go and like keep the end in mind. Like, keep like what that goal is. And if you can keep your vision on that, then every day, little strides is better than none. Because I've seen people be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. Like even like analogies like working out. I went to the gym every day this week and then they don't go for 2 weeks. Like that was pointless. It's better if you go 2 days a week, consistently throughout your life than going like, 5 days here, off. Same thing with dieting, right? You can compare every topic when it comes to like what's your long game and being consistent and having the stamina. It's the same thing with dieting, right? You have even experienced it. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. You cut it all out. It's hard to stick to that when you're making it like you're putting all these different things together. It's the same thing when people are doing a business. They want to do so many changes at once and it becomes overwhelming and impossible to get there. So they give up. Whereas if you just take little bites, right? It goes back to that saying, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. You can do anything. You just have to do it a little bit at a time and not throw yourself into overwhelm.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a big believer is, I'm going to be very consistent with just drinking wine every night, right? I'm going to just every day, I'm going to have no, just kidding. So, listen, on a serious note, it was a lot funnier in my head when I said it to myself than when it came out. But anyways, I always say this. Tony Robbins has this great formula that I've used for years. But Tony, I'm going to give you kind of my recommendation. He's always said that the formula for success, right? It starts with focus. You got to have then the right strategy in place, and then you got to go out there and just take massive action. So I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. So yes, you need to have your focus needs to be where it needs to be. You need to have the right strategy. But when you go out there and take massive action, it's not going to be a one-time event.
Yeah.
It needs to be consistent action. Because I always talk about, where, agents, for example, like in the real estate space, when we teach them kind of like the formula and the strategy to go out there and be successful, I'm a big believer. I know a lot of folks will kind of argue with me on this and, you buy these different lead programs. That's all crap, right? It's all about being proactive and going out there and talking to people. And so what happens to a lot of realtors, like, we do this Do It Now program that we obviously wrote a book about, and we have the online Do It Now method now. I think you could even maybe find more information about that maybe in our comments, wherever else. But with the Do It Now program for years, I've taught agents that if you want to be successful, here's the right strategy. But what I also warned them is that what I would see is when I would do these 2 or 3 day programs, we would do the first day would be all about focus and mindset. Next day would be all about strategies, and we would talk about it. But then the third day was actually out there and actually taking action, making them pick up the phone and making them actually make phone calls and ask for the business. And we would have agents that would literally, like, in that moment, I mean, it was crazy. It was like the most awesome thing to actually experience, because agents would be like, oh my gosh, I just walked away with 2 or 3 leads and 30, 45 minutes worth of work of me actually just hitting the phones, making phone calls. And so we would have like this awesome feeling. Everybody would be all excited. It would be like everybody would be hugging me. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I just made you make some phone calls, right?
Yeah.
But what would happen is that then I would see those same agents, right? Maybe at one of our big company events, at our Christmas party, at our family gathering, whatever it may be. And maybe it's now like 2 or 3 months have now passed. And I'm like, hey, so-and-so, like, how's it going, right? I mean, were just like rocking it. You were like crushing it. I think you had like 4 or 5 leads that you got just within that 30, 45 minutes. What's your business like now? Oh, well, Joe, things kind of reverted back, and, it's been a little bit of a challenge for me. The market, right? All this crap that they would just come up with, like, in their head, all these different stories. And really, at the end of the day, I would find a way to kind of, bring them back to this realization. I'm like, hey, have you been consistent with the strategy that we basically went over and you were so excited about that actually proved, you got proven results in that moment, so it works. Yeah. Have you been consistent with that action? And the answer is, well, Joe, no, not really, because of whatever BS story, right, or whatever negative limiting beliefs maybe that they have kind of, living in their, subconscious, whatever be the case. And I'm like, listen, you got to go back. It works, right? It works. Go back to what got you to that moment of feeling like you're on top of the world, and just be consistent with that action every single day. There's going to be days where, look, life happens, right? Maybe your kids get sick. Maybe, you got to take care of your parents. Maybe whatever be the case, right? Shit's going to happen, right? Life is life. We get that. But then don't let that beat you up, right? Know that, hey, look, today was just an outlier for whatever reason because of this situation. But tomorrow I'm right back at it, right? Tomorrow I'm right back at it. I'm going to take action, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be consistent because I know it works.
Yeah. And that's why the plan is important, right? Because if you have a plan of like which pieces, like, don't bite off more than you could chew, right? If you know that there are certain things that you need to do to create that, give a timeline that's a little bit longer than you need, maybe, just knowing that things are going to happen in that day. Like when I'm planning my day, I always leave extra time for something that could go wrong. So then if it doesn't, that's fine. I achieve everything I want, but I don't set myself up for failure keeping this like tight schedule. Because at the end of the day, you could have that momentum going, and then your child could get sick, or maybe your spouse is sick, or maybe something doesn't go right in the business, or and it takes you off track. That's okay, but you have to set yourself up so that when you get off track, you can just get back on, and not just give up on it. And then that's where people like take this massive action, and then they get overwhelmed, and then they just give up. And so, like, I think you know who you are, right? There are some people that can take massive action consistently because they have the endurance to do that. And then there are other people that are like, no, my lifestyle doesn't allow me to take massive action every single day. So then if that's you, then do those little bits of, like move the needle every day. And so I think the important thing is to just understand your lifestyle, know what you can do or what you can't do, right? Like you can do massive action because you have a support system and because you have that kind of mentality that you can do that. Not everyone can do that.
Well, but sometimes the massive action doesn't get results immediately.
Right.
And I think we live in a world where everybody wants instant gratification. They want to feel like, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Well, it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
It's not going to happen within a week. It's not going to probably maybe a month if you really got a really good routine in place, but it's going to take time, right? And I think that the biggest challenge, and if you really look at the people that are successful with business and life, whatever it may be, if you look at kind of like their, a common thread amongst all of them, they probably have just been consistent with their actions.
It's consistency.
Right?
It goes back to consistency.
Yeah. So, if you're going to look at how do I then develop the stamina to be able to, to not give up and to be consistent? Well, listen, you got to have this clarity. You got to have the understanding that, again, Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to lose, 20 pounds, overnight. You're not going to make $1 million, overnight, right? Unless you're lucky as hell and you win the lotto, right? Which is very rare. And those people typically lose the money anyways
It's
afterwards.
easier to make the money than win the lotto.
Yeah, damn right. So, you just got to you got to have the clarity and the understanding that, look, this shit's going to take time and I'm going to keep going at it every single day until I hit my goal, right?
Yeah, if you're building something huge, like if you want to run like 20 miles, you're not going to start off running 20 miles, or you're going to get a mile, you're going to build up the endurance to get to that long game, and you have to do that. And you may not be able to run the whole time where, it's like you talk about like races where they run as fast as they can, they pass the baton. So like in some cases, it's like you have to take that massive action, but then you have to set up in that roadmap who else is in line with you to be helping you, right? So again, what's your skill set? Where do you need to take massive action versus bringing in somebody alongside of you to be taking massive action in other areas, right? Whether it's sales, marketing, the back end, know your role, know who you have on your team, and everyone needs to be simultaneously taking, action. So, I mean, that just, again, it goes back to consistency. Don't bite off more than you can chew, because the only thing that you do is you get into overwhelm, then you get stuck, and then you give up. And no matter what you want to achieve, right? And if we have a long goal, like it's something huge, something impactful, as long as you stay the course, keep the end in mind, you'll get there. But if you get stuck, you give up, and then you get nowhere. So as long as you don't quit, you'll get there.
Yeah. You're a little passionate there. I love that.
Well, yeah, because honestly, like as long as you don't quit, you'll get there. Like you may have to, go like make U-turns. You may have to go down these windy roads, ups and downs, or whatever. But as long as you don't quit, you will get there. But you just need to know what your skill set is, know what your role is, know the people around you, be resourceful, and you'll get there. But you got to be consistent.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave us with a little, I guess.
Tony Robbins quote?
No, not a Tony Robbins quote, but this actually could be a great conversation for another podcast, right? So, I think the mistake that people can also make, and this is gonna be a little twist to our entire conversation that we've had here today with you, is that you need to be consistent with your actions, right? And you need to show up. But when you show up, like, be present. I've seen sometimes where people say, man, Joe, I haven't quit. Yeah, but you mentally quit, right? You're physically there. You're physically attending these meetings. You're attending these call sessions. You're doing all that, but you're not really putting the full effort in because you mentally have kind of like given up. And you think by me physically being, it's like people that go to different workshops and trainings. They keep going to these things because they feel like, well, while they're there, that they're going to cure all of their problems and whatever it may be. They're going to achieve whatever they want to achieve because they're there. That's BS, right? Yeah, you're showing up, but you're not really showing up, right? And I think that could be a great topic for another day.
That's like energy. We'll have to do one on energy because it's like, Yeah, you're there, but like you might as well not be there.
Yeah,
Right?
like what the hell are you wasting your time? Like what?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I mean, I
Great,
think
another topic for another episode.
yeah. So yeah. I mean, I think we can definitely probably out of this conversation and even the last podcast that we did, there's probably a couple of topics we could pull out of that. So
And I think we should count how many times we said consistency, because it warrants to be repeated, right? It's the consistency. As long as you keep at it and you keep doing it, like again, even if it's little strides, moving the needle a little bit every day. Like if you do nothing, like I can't even tell you, when I look back, I'm like, oh man, if I would have done that 10 years ago. Like, so even if I moved the needle a little bit, 10 years later, I would have had something versus nothing but pipe dreams and disappointments of saying, oh, I should have done that. So just move in the right direction every day and you'll get there. Some goals or whatever require massive action every day, and some, like if it's writing a book, you just need to do a little bit every day and you'll get there. So again, it all depends on what you're trying to create, but you get to really decide if that's really what you want. Then you just need to make a plan, commit to it, and that's another thing. It's like commitment, consistency, and having your mind in line with your heart in doing it.
take us home.
All right, so we are complete here today, and we will see you next time on Real Talk with Joe and Dina.